strategy, but I wanted to come up with some of the key insights and some of the tips for each of the strategies for 2022. What's working today? I'll tell you, when I first started doing this strategy, the stuff that I was doing back then worked back then. It doesn't work as well today, and this is why it's important to pivot. You want to shift, you want to pivot. If you stay stagnant and you're always expecting to do the same types of deals, it doesn't make sense as the market, prices change and all of that stuff. You've got to adapt and you've got to grow, and you can still do that really well with a strategy. But I'll give you an example. The single family BRRRRs, just taking a house that's in rough shape and fixing it up and hoping to cash flow, it probably won't exist at this point unless you're going really far outside of any major area. So you're really likely doing some conversions at this point when doing the BRRRR strategy. Remember, it stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Where to look? So we've bought, I partnered with actually a couple people recently just to scale up, and we just bought our 5th deal yesterday in the last, I want to say in the last 6 weeks. And many of those were single families, and we're converting into 3 or 4 units. One was actually 15,000 square foot of commercial space that we are converting into 22 residential units and some stuff in between. So some really cool things. And those were actually all on MLS. Everything was on MLS. Even that $15,000 or that 15,000 square foot deal, I'll tell you, was listed for $1 on the MLS. And we bought it for just under $2 million. And it's going to cost about $1 million and a half to do the renovations, 22 units. It's completely empty. It's really cool. And the after repair appraisal, because we've got Colliers, an appraisal company, to do the appraisal, and they came in at 5.8 million. And that's still fairly conservative. Our mortgage broker thinks that we're probably going to get somewhere between 6 and 7. Again, on MLS. And a lot of other deals were also on MLS. We just picked one up yesterday with a vendor take back, 75% VTB at 8.5%. The house is gutted completely inside. There's VTBs. There's a slow market shift right now that I think the savvy investors can start taking advantage of. And so we're going to close private on the one that we just bought yesterday because it is completely gutted. So no lender is going to lend that, but we're going to be able to exit with a lender. So aside from MLS, you can talk to your realtor. They might have pocket listings, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji. There's a lot of wholesalers out there. Make sure that you are on their lists so that you can get their deals as they come through. Again, not every single deal the wholesaler brings you is actually a good deal. So you do have to do your due diligence and know your market. Listing agents. I've bought some deals, especially land, through listing agents directly by phoning the ones that have a lot of properties in those areas and just seeing what else they have on the market. And I've gotten some really cool deals that way. You can check expired listings again. Your realtor might not be able to, but maybe they can send you what has expired and you can contact them yourself. Off market through your own marketing, again, like putting together your own flyers and, picking a UPS or Canada Post route rather and having them delivered. That's how wholesalers do like their stuff, right? That's how they get leads, is through, SEO online, but also through these mailers. You can do that yourself as well. Geo Warehouse, Purview. I mean, you could do drive-bys. Your realtors have access to something called Geo Warehouse where they can actually tell you who owns the property. Purview is what your mortgage brokers have access to. So again, those could be good tools for you. And property managers, management companies. I've recently had my paralegal reach out to me and say, hey, there's a few people selling their portfolios. Are you interested? And we looked at the deals. These are larger multis, but they are quite interesting. So look at all the different avenues of where you can find a deal. And it's interesting because now as the rates have started going up, things can make more sense on the MLS because there's no 20 offers as there used to be back in February. It's actually softened, and it's actually a good thing for many investors. You just have to know what you are looking for, and you have to run your numbers conservative.
Sarah, there was a quick question. Could you please explain again how you buy under contract?
How you buy, sorry?
Buy under contract.
So, I mean, it's just an agreement of purchase and sale. So you basically, for example, make an offer and it could be conditional on something. So like the one offer we got yesterday is conditional on zoning verification. And they actually ended up doing a vendor take back for 75% loan to value of that. But essentially it's just an agreement of purchase and sale. All right, so in terms of the tips for buying, just think of your after repair value. What I find a lot of new investors, sometimes they see this house that's listed for $299, or $399 or super cheap, and maybe it's worth a lot more on the market. And they think, oh, well, this person doesn't want a whole lot, so we're going to give them 50 grand more. But maybe that house is worth 650, and then they're shocked that that house went for 650, right? So there's a lot of little tactics sometimes that the sellers and the sellers' realtors play. Doesn't mean that they only want that price for the house. What is important though, rather than figuring out what you're going to purchase for, is actually work your way backwards. So figure out what the after repair value is going to be. And if you are brand new, having a good realtor that has a lot of investors that they've worked with that are investors themselves, likely they will have a pulse on what the after repair values are coming back, what the appraisers are actually appraising for these properties, or better yet, build a relationship with a local appraiser. It is so easy when we can say, hey, do you think that we can get this as an ARV for this property? This is how many square feet? Yes, no, a range. That is super helpful, because then we can work backwards, once we figure out what the renovation costs are going to be, and then we can figure out what the purchase price is going to be. And then we're kind of like not, having to focus on like trying to be the best price, but we're going to give the best price for us based on what we want to do. So rate increases, keep in mind, it's going to allow us for more opportunities for the savvy investors. However, here's the thing, you will want to stress test your portfolio. You will want to stress test the rates as well. So I would usually now pick a higher rate on the refinance, and I still want to make sure I cash flow on the exit. So that this is not as simple as just like buying a house and then figuring out how much rent you need to get, and that's it. There's a whole process behind it. I do have a BRRRR calculator that is part of the course that my students put that stuff through, so they can actually see on the refi, on the exit, is there cash flow, and then they can play around with the rate as well, just to see how high the rate can be until they have no more cash flow, or if it can be 4% or 5% and there's still cash flow. That's a good thing. Not saying that the rates are going to go up that high, but this is a time to be conservative for sure. Don't do anything. Don't sit on the sidelines forever. Just be, just be conservative in the numbers. All right.